We spent years at sea, fumbling with our sails, looking for the wind.
Hello and welcome to the Eighth Note Sessions. I'm Mike Shamil.
And I'm Devin Mullen.
And our guest today is David Cloyd. Dave, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming on the show. For those of you who may not be familiar, in addition to being a recording artist himself, who's got a couple albums out there that you should go and check out, David's been involved in a lot of things over the years, from being a part of ECG Music Group, a record label based out of New York City, Hook and Ladder Records underneath that, founder of Buffalo Music Club. He's a part of the Pizza Dog Studios team, and if you're a local film nerd like me, you've seen them in the 48 Hour Film Project, plus a bunch of other stuff. Dave, how do you keep up with all that?
I don't sleep a lot, basically.
Sounds like every other artist. you either sleep really, or you create.
Well, I think as I've gotten older, I've just gotten better at just running. So you just run a lot, and you don't take a lot of time to, like, I'm gonna get into the mood to do that thing. You just flip a switch and you're like on. So that's how I kind of keep all the plates spinning. Lots of broken plates, though. That's another secret.
Now, speaking of spinning plates, you're in the process of recording your next album. Tell us a little bit about how that's going and what people can expect from it.
I'm really close. I have some vocals left to record. I say some to try and convince myself that it's not too many, so I'll just come in and finish it up. But it's a really great. This is the record I've been wanting to make my whole life. This is the one I've been waiting for. Really powerful songs. A lot about my relationships with my wife and my children, and what it's like to become a father, what it's like to start that part of my life. But it's also a lot about my relationship with music, and it's a lot about, I think we can all say we've experienced hardships, especially after the last couple of years. So it's a lot about hardship and trying to find the strength and love to get through life's darkest hours. So it's a lot of that. So yeah, I'm excited. I have a couple of mixes back for singles, and a couple more on the way, and it's given me that last little boost I need to just be excited to finish. I'm amazed I haven't lost the juice as long as it's taken me to finish it, but I just have it. Every time I come back to the songs, I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I got to do that.
That's awesome that you feel energized still, because you had mentioned to us before we started recording the show that this is now your third re-recording of the whole project, and it sounds like it's been just one hell of a bear to wrestle.
It has been, but like that's the thing. It's like comedy is tragedy plus time. It really is. Like, every one of us has had those creative projects where we're just banging away and it just doesn't seem to be working, and then all of a sudden, no matter how long it's been, all of a sudden you find it and you're like, oh, great, whew, all right, now what? It doesn't matter if it took a week or a month or a year. Some songs take years to write. Some songs you can sit down and 15 minutes later they're done. Some people say they write songs in 15 minutes, and I don't know that that's really real. But if they, every one of us is different, and I have a lot of these songs I wrote really quickly, but getting them to the recording in the right way, that was really a challenge. But I'm really excited about this record. Really.
It's a very humbling experience to have a very long-term creative project. Like you said, there's these sort of breakthroughs you have, and returning to the drawing board. And I sort of like the unity of that process with thematically what the album is about. You describe it sort of as going into the ocean, right, with all its trepidation and foreboding and everything. You talk about the gray nature of becoming a father and how it's simplifying and complicating in equal measure. So I certainly wish you luck on really crystallizing that artistic vision on that.
Thanks. Humbling is correct. You know, I wrote one of the first songs I wrote. I don't know. My daughter was maybe 1 or 2, and she's now not 1 or 2, and the recurring line in the chorus is, "Where did the time go?" And it's like, it's really weird that all the way back then I knew it was going to take a while, and you just don't want to. It's like if time travel could happen and your future self came back to you when you were, like 20, and you're like, listen, you think you're going to be somewhere at 25, and it's not going to be 25, it's going to be 45, And you're like, what? And if you knew that back then, you might quit and abandon ship. Yeah, totally. But like, that's the thing, is like, when it's something in your heart, when it's, ideally we all get to work quickly and love every day, but that doesn't, nothing, that's not a guarantee. But if your heart's really in it, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's just, it's just work. You're just working.
So presumably your kids are going to be listening to your work somewhere down the line. What kind of takeaway do you want them to have from it? What sort of message do you want to impart on the younger generation?
That's a fantastic question. Oh, I love that question. So they listen to them now. They have favorite songs of mine, which I just think is the coolest. And it's much better because when they were really little, no matter what I did, if I would like pick up my guitar and start playing, they'd come up and grab the guitar and start pulling it down, and I'm like, this is not my dream. My dream was that we would all live in community.
Was that the inspiration behind what is it? Unhand Me, You Fiend?
No,
Me, You Fiend?
No.
This is my guitar.
No, but that's how I felt. No, the funny thing, the inspiration for that was actually a Batman comic, and I'm not a comic guy. But I had a Batman comic. No, or was it like, it was like an old Superman. It was some superhero comic, and I was completely smashed by what a jerk Superman was in the first couple of comics. He was a real jerk. He was just like, he was such a macho jerk. He's just mean.
Well, he's an Ubermensch. I mean, he's like a proto-fascist. Yeah, whole thing.
And he couldn't even fly. He just ran and jumped really high. It was like, it was kind of like, you're not all that, but no. So okay, what I want my kids to get out of this. So it's just a great question. So they have songs that they really like off of this record, and like, I'll be riding around, and even my 8-year-old will be like, "That's my favorite song of yours." And I'm like, "Cool, all right, that's cool. What's your second favorite?" And he'll be like, "Oh, well, I'll tell you later." So we already have kind of a, I think it's weird for them because I think they think it's normal to have a dad that like makes records, which that alone is super cool for me. I really like that because my parents did not make records, but what I really want them to get out of it, honestly, more than anything, is it's the same thing that most parents want from their kids. They want to set a good example for them. I'm as soon as they were born, I realized that like nothing I did ever again was going to be just for me. It was, I have responsibilities. I've got people that are, they watch everything. They see everything. So I want them to, more than anything, I want them to understand what it means to like really love something that you're trying to express and get out of yourself, and to see that through. And no matter what it takes, to see it through and get it out. And sometimes that means they see me in a less pleasant state, kind of tired or wiped out or, frustrated, but they also see it when it comes together, and they can tell, I think when I really get it, and I'm happy about that. And they both play a little bit of music. My daughter plays violin. My son's played piano. He's into sports right now, and I'm totally cool with that because I was not. So it's kind of fun. I kind of get to live vicariously through him with that. But that's all I want for them. And to quietly and secretly get all of their other students at their schools to buy my records and pay for tickets to my concerts and all of that. Just all of those things in that order.
Things are gonna get real heated when you get into that like Fowler's chocolate thing. Where you're selling the candy bars. Oh, it's gonna be a bloodbath.
But they'll come. Like they could offer like private concerts and stuff with the just buy the whole box right here, and my dad will give you a free concert. And then they're gonna say,
door to door, like, do you want a ticket? It comes with a candy bar. Well, sure.
Yeah. No, it'll be like, we'll put a Wonka's golden ticket in there somewhere, except it'll be like a Cloyd's blood red ticket. It'll be like, it'll be like a tear. Is there a color for tears? That's what it'll be. It's like, if you get the tear-colored ticket, you can come and cry. We'll all have a good cry and sing some beautiful melancholy songs together.
The PTA is going to have a field day with that one. So yeah, just to sort of put a knot on that, I think sort of expressing that it's important to live alongside your anxieties or your, as you say, less unpleasant states, and process them and engage in that sort of emotional transformation. I think that's a good takeaway for any kid. So to segue to our next topic, and maybe this is kind of related, but the reason we asked you to come on the show tonight was because we have the Music is Art Music Expo coming up.
April 23rd.
The 23rd. Tickets are on sale.
It's better start putting together my workshop. I have less than 2 weeks to do it now. Well,
so yes, you're gonna be running our creative songwriting workshop. So tell us a little bit about what the goals of this workshop are, how people can get involved, and what some of the takeaways are.
Sure. So I love songs. I feel a little bit like Brick from Anchorman right there. I love song. I'm quite honestly, like, some of my earliest memories are of sitting in our living room and listening to like records that I shouldn't really like given my pedigree, but I was obsessed with Kenny Rogers, the Gambler. I listened to like lots of Sheena Easton. I mean, we had a weird record collection at my house, but I used to just listen and there were always these songs that would just grab me and haunt my dreams. So over the years, I've spent a lot of time as a songwriter pursuing my own, how do I get my music out of me? How do I get it out until it's right, until I feel it's right? How does my music impact other people? How does it make them feel? And exploring that space, especially when maybe it doesn't hit the way you think it should hit, or it doesn't hit the way you thought it was going to hit. And so what I wanted to do was kind of put my thoughts together on that from my my entire conscious life, and I guess subconscious life, and try and come up with a way of better understanding those songs that really, really grab you, and it's not going to be the same songs for everyone, obviously. There are songs that I'm sure Mike likes that Devin doesn't. I'm just guessing. I'm just really trying to put.
Yeah, I mean that's human nature
right
right there,
Right. So it's really just about trying to find a way to better understand songs. So I developed this songwriting theory, and it kind of puts all my thoughts into I don't want to say a system, but for better lack of a word, it's kind of a framework. How's that? It's a
schema.
Framework. Yeah, a schema to better understand this like when you hear something that really grabs you, how did that artist write that song and make me feel that way? So it's really trying to better understand that. You can use all the stuff I talk about for your own songs. You can use it for your friend's song that they send it to you. What do you think? And you can use it for your favorite songs. You can use it for your least favorite songs. Why do I hate Katy Perry so much? Why do I hate her? I just can't. Whatever it is, you can really take it apart. And so I end up talking about this, and then what I do is I'm going to take everyone through one of those songs that for me, over the course of my life, since the first time I heard it, it has haunted my dreams. And I wanted to better understand how they did that to me, and to do it in a way that doesn't... How you could get
them to settle a lawsuit with you.
Yes. Yes. Well,
I get it, man. Top thumping, so, I get it completely. I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this song apart and put it back together like Frankenstein. And the best thing about it to me, at least for me, is that does not take any of the mystery out of the beauty of songwriting. It just pulls me in deeper. Just makes me love songs more. Just makes me give me more. Give me more. I want more.
So to be clear, this isn't like the Build-A-Bear workshop of creative exercises. This isn't like you take this part and you put this here. It's more a holistic approach dealing with philosophical, spiritual engagements with writing, and ideally making that bridge between the self and self-expression.
Well, and just for that, like if you wanted to pigeonhole something, you could say a Build-A-Bear type of songwriting workshop would be about, like, say we're going to take a song form and you're going to write bridge, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. And every single one of us knows that lots of songs have that song form, but every single one of them has little things that are not supposed to be there, or there's always deviations, always, however subtle, whether it's like they're just going to take a bar out there. That kind of change can change the entire impact of a song. So that's really what it's about. And I mean, I think another thing I really thought about when I put this together was that this isn't a tool that you would use consciously as you write, but it's definitely a great tool for you when you're editing, when you're really trying to be objective looking at your song. But I will also say that all the stuff that I uncover and that I put into this framework is stuff that's happening in my subconscious all the time when I write. And it's all the stuff that's seeped into my groundwater, that's just there. And it is a lot about what you are what you eat. And with songs, it's like you are what you listen to, and that's why it's like, it's to me so important to better understand the stuff that you listen to that really hits you, because that's telling you something, and it's telling you something very important. And so I always feel like if you're a songwriter, you cannot, or you want to be a songwriter, there's no such thing as wasted time on craft ever.
Or a producer, because it sounds like this is a very producer's mindset too.
I think so, and I think maybe that's because, I produce myself until up to a certain point, and I have to, and I really like to. It's funny, like as an artistic collaborator, I'll collaborate on just about anything until it's like my song, and then I'm like, no, I'm good. Thanks a lot. I'm cool. I do like to collaborate, but I have to go into it knowing what I'm gonna do,
No,
and it's a
the
big trust fall for me.
boundaries.
Yeah, totally. Like, and no, like, even just saying from the get go, like, you and I are gonna write a song together. Okay, we don't have. Do you have any ideas? Oh, I don't know. If someone has the first idea, I mean, that's always sets the ball off rolling, whatever it is. But like, I like. I'm a DIY guy. I like to do everything, and I can do everything. So that just turns into what it is. But I think you're right. I think this is kind of a. And you know, you guys are songwriters. Don't you find that like you know, working on that producer mindset, doesn't that affect your songwriting?
Absolutely.
It certainly does for me. It really helps me it helps me be not a writer for a few minutes, you know, but you still have to write as a producer. You still have to be able to manipulate it, and it's just as important. It's just an important part. It's just a different. It's like a different side of the prism or something, you know. Very dark
I
side of
got a
the
taste of that when we had saw you in person last. It was actually at our like West New York Music Industry Alliance like songwriter night, and I definitely got like those like sort of producer vibes from you. But you're right in the fact that as a songwriter, you need to be able to have those elements in you, and that's part of what makes that group so special, is because we can help each other from a songwriter standpoint, listen to each other's songs that we're trying to figure out all the, you know, all the bumps and all the knots and how to straighten it out and get it the way we want. And because we have that songwriting experience ourselves, it definitely helps us sort of break down and analyze what the other person is presenting, and the ideas just kind of like pop in. Well, what if you tried this way or added this in there? Have you thought about doing this? And then all of a sudden you see the light click on the other person, and either like, no, that's a fucking terrible idea, or they're like,
exactly.
That's what I need. That's what I need, you know?
Exactly. And it speaks to another thing to me, which is that like, and I hate to break it to all of us, but like, it's all been done before. All of it. It's nothing's new, and yet everything's new. And so whatever you think you're doing, going off into your own little shed and like isolating yourself and making your thing that's just not been touched, but of course it has. This is all music. It's all folk art. You didn't invent anything, you know? Like, you might get a new sound out of something, and you might find a different way to voice a chord, but it's still a bunch of notes, and it's still notes happening over time. And like, you know, I think it's an important thing to embrace that reality of creativity. It allows you to move, I think, it's funny me saying this, but it allows you to move a little more quickly. But it also allows you to move confidently. Like, when you take the onus off of yourself that everything you have to do has to be completely original and unique, then you can just get to the business of making this thing sound the way you want it to, you know? And it's always going to be, oh, I really like that song, and there was that idea. There was this way that the snare got hit that I really want to get that. Like, just there, you know, it's all been done before. So to me, when you explore these spaces of like the recordings, the songs that you love, it's just, you're just having a really nutritious meal, you know, and then you can go work it out. It's just, you're just baking better stuff into your own bread. Boy, I've got lots of food metaphors tonight.
So folks,
I'm hungry. I think that's what it is.
So April 23rd, our music expo.
Mm-hmm.
Come get your fill of musical nutrition with David Cloyd and his creative workshop.
I want to share this with you. Come.
That's all I got for questions for now. Shamil, you got anything else?
No, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. But the last thing I want to throw your way is, touching back to your music for a moment. Out of all the tracks you've done, now that we've got this mindset of this like producer mindset that we've been talking about, if you were to jump outside yourself for a moment and and look at your creative process from your first album to now, and then go back to talk to your younger self, what would be the most important thing that you would relay? If you had like 30 seconds in a time machine to go talk to yourself before you made that first album, what could you give him?
Oh, I might just give him a hug. I might just give him a hug and tell him it's all gonna be okay. Just keep going. God, advice for my creative self at a younger age.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird because I started pretty late writing and recording, at least from my perspective. But I think this is the best advice I would give a younger self, and it's something that I feel like I kind of have a handle on now. Be careful what you say, because that's when, you know, the ground beneath you drops. But I feel like there's a tightrope to walk when you're writing, and on half of the tightrope, your job is to move as quickly as you can, because you know this is kind of a scary place to be, and you don't want to just hang out up there. Bad thing when you just hang out up there. But there's also, I think, there's a real need to let it happen without too much interference. I think a lot of people they like to just write, and they just want to write, and so I'm going to write a song, and I'm going to write another song, and I like to let my songs, like, I look at them more as archaeological finds. Like, I want it to feel like I found it, and this is it, and I found it as intact as I could, and I messed it up as much as little as I had to, and I think there's a push and pull there, where if you wait for everything to like just naturally come into being, like you might, I don't know, I feel like Harry Nilsson's he had a really interesting life, but he had this, he didn't write very many songs, and he didn't record lots of songs. So there are people who I feel like they exhibit this like a disproportionate amount of energy, like putting it into like really finishing it. And you know, there's the Bob Dylans who just seem to write like 6 million songs, and the Paul McCartneys, and then there's the Jeff Buckleys, you know, and then there's the Leonard Cohens that will write, you know, 100 verses to a single song and only keep like 4 of them. So there's all these different ways, but I feel like that's what I would tell myself, is that, like, listen, keep working, but don't force it. Like, try and be honest with it, and try and let it come, and you know, just feel it out, because there's a point at which you have to really, you just gotta sit down and finish it, but you also don't have to finish it. You really don't. It might be better tomorrow. You know, just keep working, and not worry so much about the finished product, because it will come. It comes as the work, as you do the work. So I think maybe that's a really long way of answering that question.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit in 30 seconds, but that is a very important thing that, you know, to tell your younger self, and I think very good advice. You know, I mentioned this in the show in the past, that one of the pieces of advice that I was given a long time ago that helps me a lot as a songwriter is follow the music, and it sounds like what you're saying is kind of along the same thread of thought of, you know, it'll come to you, but you got to follow it. You know, you got to kind of pursue it.
Yes, you have to know when to follow and when to lead, and both when you're leading you need to follow, and when you're following you need to lead. It's tricky. It's a tricky state. It's why meditation is really important. We should all be meditating on a daily basis. It helps you get into that zone where you aren't in the flow, you are the flow. And trying to be there, I think that's one of the things we were talking about earlier, which is like when you're spinning a lot of plates and you're doing a lot of different things, when you stay in the flow, then as you move from thing to thing, the flow is the flow. It doesn't matter whether you're moving from like I'm working on that song to I'm doing dishes to I got to fold some laundry to now I got to write a book to now I got to write this, you know, I got to come up with a songwriting workshop. What is this? You know, whatever it is, you're already in the flow. That's a really good piece of advice too for anyone, which is like if you want to be a creative person, like this whole idea that you should just go and get a job as a waiter or something and like kill 8 hours of your day and then when your job's over you'll have some money in your pocket and then you can go and like flip a switch and you'll just be in the flow. No, you should like spend every waking moment moving to things that like grab you and get into the flow and just stay there. It's really hard to do and it takes a long time to pull it off. It's quite a trick. But that's you know, that's what I would tell my younger self. And I feel like he knew he was trying to do that, but he also didn't know whether it was going to work or not. So I would tell him it worked.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're in your 20s and you're feeling confident, then you're just not looking at it right. It's just, you know, life is crazy and hard and you know.
What are you talking about? Everything's fantastic and roses and easy.
Exactly. No. But I mean, I really do mean it. Like that kind of an existence when you're really committed to being in the flow of things, it makes life so much richer and more interesting. And then, you know, that's going to make it out into your art. That's going to make it out into everything that you do. Cooking, you know, like the way I cook breakfast every day is intense. It's the same way that I write. It's the same way that I record. It's the same way that I do everything.
Did you cook that bacon by staring at it? Yes.
I sing to it.
I know since I've embraced the flow, my ability to eat rocks has grown so much. Baby, if what you need to do to get into flow is to eat rocks, well, keep a pebble in your pocket, and you'll be all right.
Keep a handful.
Yeah, that's right.
A handful.
And
maybe you're an oral surgeon's phone number as well.
Yes.
Maybe.
And with that wonderful note, this has been the Eighth Note Sessions. I'm Mike Shamil.
And I'm Devin Mullen.
And our wonderful guest today was David Cloyd. David, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thanks, guys. It was a blast.
We were filled with dread, gripping tight the rails, holding